Hey, thanks for clicking on my video. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and this is my review of Father Stu. Father Stu. Father Stu. Father Stu. Really, the title can be whatever you want it to be. I'm a blind film critic, so it took me a while to actually figure out what the title was. That's why I was doing it, is because my screen reader kept reading something to me, and I was like, what is this movie called? And I was trying to search it, and then I just gave up, and I put in Mark Wahlberg, and then I found out the title of the film, and I was like, oh. Every time it read something to me, I was like, what is this name? What is the name of the movie? And I was like, it just didn't make any sense to me. I watch films with audio description, so this has audio description on Netflix, which is where I watched it. Currently on Netflix, you know, the unofficial home of Mark Wahlberg nowadays. Yeah, so it's British audio description, so you just have to get used to hearing torch instead of flashlight. That's it. It's really not that many differences between between having a British narrator and having an American narrator. Just happy to have narration. That's all. So, Father Stu is it's an American film about a guy that I guess is real. It wasn't that long ago, because part of this film takes place during the 90s. So I don't know how remarkable this person's life was, because I had no idea he existed. But Mark Wahlberg obviously wanted to do a film about him. I didn't know that this was a passion project for Mark Wahlberg. I don't know how he got attached to it. It's a very odd film, and I didn't really like it. I'm just going to be honest. I can't really think about, like, on any angle what choices were being made along the way to help shape this film into what it is that they're trying to do. I didn't even really know what the film was about going into it, so it starts off kind of showing us Stuart, who is... He had a brother that is since passed. His father, played by Mel Gibson, is abrasive at best. Just like I don't know how else to describe his character. He's not necessarily an abusive father. He's just a douche. Mark Wahlberg's Stuart is a boxer who has to leave the ring, and when he does, he's like, oh, what else am I going to do with my life? And he's like, I'm going to become an actor. So he heads out to Hollywood to pursue his acting dreams, and he's really gung-ho about acting. He puts himself up in a motel, and he's trying to find an acting gig, and he gets hired at a grocery store because he thinks, like, people will see him there. They use him for ads because he's good looking, to, like, help bring people into the store. He auditions for this other role where the guy is, like, super seedy. That doesn't really work out. So he's trying to pursue this acting career. He finds this girl that he likes, follows her to church. He's not a church guy. He curses a lot. This is what makes it weird. Like, is this a Christian movie? Because there are a lot of fuck bombs in here. Just, yeah, for a Christian film. So I don't really know who the target audience for this is, but yeah, he, like, curses in church. He curses when he's trying to, you know, bless me, Father, for I have fucking sinned, you know. Basically sits down and he curses all the time. and he drinks and he just parties, and he's trying to get a gig, and he gets so happy when he gets this one commercial for like a mop, and his mom's like watching from home. And I love that the narration came in and made sure that her face was disappointed, that her son was in a mop commercial. And I was like, dude, for a lot of people, that's a big break, to get your first like national commercial like that. I mean, I know it's about a mop, but for a lot of actors to get a national commercial, they'd be really excited about that. But the mom was apparently not having it. The mom's played by Jackie Weaver, because Mel Gibson and Jackie Weaver together just is such a perfect pairing. And yeah, then there's this accident, and Stuart goes flying. I have to tell you this because this is literally this is what is supposed to be the catalyst of the film. It just takes forever to get there. He goes flying, and he's like on the road, and he gets run over by another car, and most people would not survive this situation. And he's out there on the road, and when he's out there on the road, he sees this like angel basically is like watching over him. And then sort of while he's in the hospital room and they're fixing him and the nurses and doctors are running around, he also sees an angel, and he doesn't really know what to do with that. So coming out of it, the rest of the film becomes an exploration of what does he need to do with that. His dad's like a proud atheist, doesn't think that his son believing in this stuff is the right way to go about things. Even his girlfriend, who goes to church, thinks it's a dumb idea for him to become a priest. Like everybody's kind of against it, but that is what he believes. This guy who's just partying and was a boxer and curses all the time and drinks, and you know what I'm saying? Like he's like, I was in an accident and I need to be a priest now. And I guess that's what it's about, is him just going and doing it. And I guess he made a really big impact in a short span of time, because by the end of the film you find out that he died at 50. So I don't really know why this film was made. I don't really get it. I'm sure somebody will be like, oh well, I grew up with, he wrote books and there were tapes and he gave lectures. And I'll be like, cool. But it's hard to believe that when you cast Mark Wahlberg in a role, and Mark Wahlberg is already in his 40s. So by the time Mark Wahlberg completes the task, based on when Stuart dies, he's almost at the end of his life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you needed a younger actor in this role to begin with if you were going to do that. If you're trying to say that he went on to do things, to live some sort of a life that was meaningful once he found religion and made an impact that way, then you needed a younger actor. And I'm sorry, but Mark Wahlberg is not that actor anymore. I know he wants to be. I know he wants to look older. I mean, younger. I know he wants to be fresh-faced, but he needs to have a reality check about what his actual age is and how close he is to when this guy, checks out. So it's a very odd film. It's a very odd film that I just didn't like. It takes forever to get to where it wants to go, and then it still kind of meanders. It's a really long film. It was like 2:15, something like that. It's a lot longer than it ever needed to be, or ever should have been. I know when we do biopics, we feel like we want to get the whole story in of somebody's life, but there's a lot in the beginning. We didn't necessarily need like long, drawn-out scenes of this guy's childhood growing up. Because basically what makes this thing interesting is that he's the kind of guy that wouldn't normally be caught dead in a church. And he wanders in because of a girl, and then he stays because of the girl, and then he's in an accident, and then he basically finds God that way. That's the core of the plot here. The whole, like, I don't know, 45 minutes that it takes to get to that point should be like 15. You know, you need to get to that car accident a lot quicker than we actually did. I mean, there are entire scenes that serve little to no purpose in the film. That I don't even know. I never needed to see that audition with the CD director. It makes no purpose. There's no, what are we establishing? That he really tried to be an actor? Like, it doesn't matter later on in the film. There are certain parts of the film that don't matter. This is not a good film. It could have been, and I feel really bad for Stewart and his family or whatever for this film existing this way, because it could have focused, it needed to focus more on the back end. It needed to focus more on that side. You start off, you introduce the character a little bit, you give us the catalyst that flips him into the new version of him, and then you show us that. You don't spend as long as they do at the top of the film just wandering around. I was like, what is this film about? And then I get to the accident and I see angels and I'm like, oh, okay. It's a quasi-Christian movie. And I say quasi because you can't say fuck this many times in a movie and expect, like, the church crowd to show up with their buses. I'm sorry, you just can't. Like, because I'm sure they showed up and they're like, wait a minute. I mean, I know he's got his heart in the right place with this movie, but that's a lot of F-bombs. I didn't even check the rating. If this is rated anything other than R, I'm going to be upset, because we've always known that there's a hard and fast rule about how many times you can say fuck in a movie. And it's been 2. Like, they sometimes let you go with, like, one extended, you know, like, fuckity, fuck, you know, like that kind of thing, where it's just like one instance of somebody saying fuck, like, a lot in the same tiny window of time. But in general, you can't get more than 2 without getting an R rating. We still live in that world. So I just don't see how this film could get PG-13. It's not fair. It's not fair to a lot of other films, because he definitely used it more than 2 times. But anyway, so that's that. I didn't like the film. I don't think the film works. I'm still left going, I don't know why we needed this. It didn't do a good job of making me feel like his life was remarkable in any way, shape, or form. And it's also long and it's boring. However, what I will say is contained in this film are 3 great performances. Jackie Weaver is always great. Just write that off right away. She's always great. This isn't like extra level Jackie Weaver. It's just Jackie Weaver showing up and being Jackie Weaver and just doing her normal amazingness. Mel Gibson is, I didn't even realize it was him, because I didn't bother to find out who else was in this film other than Mark Wahlberg until after I IMDb'd, and I was like, all right, let's see if oh, Mel Gibson, look at that. But he's really effective in the antagonist father role. It's interesting to see him play an atheist, with, you know, all of the background that he has, promoting Christian films. It doesn't surprise me that he would sign on to this project. But he's still trying to rebuild his career, and this is a decent performance for him. And Mark Wahlberg, considering a lot of the things that I've seen him in recently, this is one of his better performances in a while. He's just trapped in a film that goes nowhere, and just meanders and wanders. but he's up to the task. He's showing up. He's ready to do it. He just doesn't understand that he's too old for the role in which he's been cast. And they're trying to use him over a span of time in which he would be expected to be far younger than anybody visually would look at Mark Wahlberg and be like, yeah, I think you could pass for that. It just needed to be a different actor in the role altogether. So that's it. That's my Father Stu review. As far as the audio description goes, I didn't really have any problems with it. It does a good job of describing what's necessary. It was most useful in the accident sequence when because it describes the whole thing, and then it also, you get to see the angel, and the angel doesn't speak, so it describes to you the angel that way. Lots of things like that are really sort of non-verbal that we would miss out on otherwise. So I would say it's important to have audio description in this film, considering the catalyst is a non-verbal event. I mean, I guess maybe you'd hear like screeching tires, but you wouldn't know that he like hits one car and then is run over by another. So it's kind of like a 2-car situation. It's the kind of thing, and he's on a motorcycle. It's the kind of thing that most people don't survive. It's the kind of thing that most people you find just you scrape him up off the road later on. But he did, so, and they made a movie about him. So you can watch it. Unfortunately, the movie's just not very good. So I'm gonna give Father Stu, goddamn, this title, Father Stu, a D+. I just didn't like it. It has nothing to do with the element. It's not the message or anything behind the film. It's the film. Nobody edited it. This film just wanders forever. It needed to be trimmed down really and focused. Actually, honestly, if this film had been done by Christian filmmakers, they would have dumped a whole lot of the excess stuff and hammered home on the redemptive Christian plot, and it probably would have worked better. And I can't believe I'm saying that. But if you had handed this over to Christian filmmakers, I think they probably would have figured out exactly why they're supposed to be telling this story, and we wouldn't have spent so long getting there. So that's it. That's my review. Sorry, Mark. That's another one of your films. It is better than Me Time, so congratulations on that. Good job. Yeah, I still don't like it. Anyway, if you like this review, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 by the end of the year. That would be great. You can also visit my website, macthemovieguy.com, for more reviews. You can let me know what you think in the comments. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what else has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can also go to theadna.org, and you can see sort of all the different people who work in audio description narration and what other films they worked on. You might see some people and be like, oh, I listened to that track. Oh, that's cool. I can put a name to a show now. They're not allowed to be on IMDb, so they're crowdsourcing their own site. So it's important for us to support them in what they do. Anyway, that's it for me today. I got to go review something else, and I will see you on the other side.